German 8th equal, Sato 12th and Artemov 6th. So as you were saying earlier, Monica, a real chance now for the specialists, going for every big trick they've got in their locker. First up, Silvio Kroll.
Yes, the specialists should come through today, hoping to see some big tricks from all of them. Nicely landed pull in back out there from Kroll.
Also bearing out what we were saying earlier, 6 nations represented in this final.
Not such hard work for the gymnasts, so they can really apply themselves to the competition in hand. Good tumble there, minor stumble after the punch front.
A little tiny step back on landing. But a very measured routine, very accurate for the most part, and all the difficulty he needed.
Yes, Kroll did a good job, first man up in the finals. It's a little bit nerve-wracking being first on the floor because the judges very picky, looking for every little fault because they have to set their standard of judging for the rest of the afternoon.
Round off, flick, whip, flick, twist, and straight back. Oh, he was just a bit too casual. I think he deliberately sort of trying to make it look easy. And I'm sure he could have held on to that. That little stumble, unfortunate for him, because it might cost him 0.05 or so.
Yes, and every hundredth of a point matters in these individual finals. There again, fraction of a step back. Every mistake is deductible.
Silvio Kroll, now 24 years old, from Leuven, a student. Actually lives in Cottbus.
But Kroll has had a fine career, really has done well. Back to the 87 World Championships, where on floor he was 6th. Back in 85, equal 4th, so he really has some pedigree on floor.
And a delay here on the judging, but this is to be expected on the very first one, because they have got to set the standard, they've got to get it right, and you've got a stickler for that in charge. Eberhard Ginger and Boris Shaklin, the 2 head judges who control this floor final, because there are 2 in these finals. And certainly Eberhard Ginger will not allow anything to pass without questioning it, without making sure that it's absolutely right.
Yes, I think Eberhard is amongst the fairest of men. He will be sure that there's no political favouring. Boris Shaklin, very tempted to be a little bit partisan to his own nation. There, Eberhard Ginger. Thumbs up sign, everything seems okay. Boris Shaklin, the man on the right, gold medalist in the 1960 Olympics.
He's just had a word with one of his judges, who is obviously out of sync with the rest. They seem to agree now. The paper has been changed. And all the while, Silvio Kroll waits, but he's been through all this before. And there it is now. At last, the score up, 9.7. And there you can see all the judges' marks. The highest, the Yugoslavian with 9.75. Sorry, no, the Israeli with 9.8. And the lowest, Taipei with 9.55.
And from East Germany again, Sven Tippelt. Some of you might remember Sven falling badly on his floor routine, but don't be confused, that was in the 2nd round of the competition in the individual all-round championship. That was the movement in which he came to grief, but he's made certain of it now. Tremendous competitor, little Sven.
racing through. Very often gymnasts do this when they're inexperienced, but he's a very experienced gymnast. He's just got a very action-packed routine.
And remember, John, they've got between 50 and 70 seconds in which to put as many skills as they possibly can. Sven also 24 years old. He lives and trains in Leipzig, married with a young son, aged 3.
A great yell of stick goes up from the East German contingent in the crowd. They all yelled it as one, and he obeyed. That, I think, goes down as a warm pat on the back from the coach. He was really pleased with that exercise from Sven Tippelt.
And by the smile on Sven's face, he was pleased too, because it's very unnerving when a move is going wrong. And his opening tumble, I think this is the one we're going to see now, which is an Arabian double. Really difficult. Half twist up, then the double front somersault. Totally blind, needing twist and somersault, and he landed it really well. Brilliant stuff.
Yes, that was the one where he got too much forward momentum earlier in the championships and skidded into the corner and beyond. Good height there for the double tuck back that he finished with. The judges from Hungary, Israel, Yugoslavia, Portugal, Taipei and the USA. So a good cross-section there too. And they come from countries not represented in the final.
The audience becoming impatient, hand clapping. Big East German contingent, but there's the score. It's gone up from Silvio Kroos, 9.75. I don't think there are going to be any birthdays in the scoring today.
Igor Korobczynski. He's already got 2 gold medals, the team gold, and also he is the new supreme champion, the all-round champion of the world. Oh, had to make an adjustment there, but it was such a difficult tumble. I mean, that is the ultimate difficult tumble, double straight back somersault with 1 twist in.
And the Russians just know how to sell themselves. He landed, he had a little body adjustment, but he stayed there to remind the judges that he'd landed well.
Again, the importance of the quality of that lift. No bent arm in any way, no hesitation, just an even press up to handstand.
Audience really appreciating Korobczynski's fine skill. Balance could have gone higher. It was still, but he really could have got the leg almost to a split position. Double back open, not quite straight. Little hesitation on the landing too.
But a mark of the quality of his tumbling. Didn't bother with a double tuck back or a double pike. It was 2 double straights, one of them with a twist.
This is fine gymnastics. Very difficult to do each individual skill as a tumble run. There's the full twist in the second straight somersault. But to combine them all under pressure, very difficult. Korobczynski, all-round European champion, and won the gold on floor at the European Championships this year.
The middle tumbling run. Side somersault and then turns out of it into the forward roll. .75 the mark he has to beat at the moment. Sven Tippelt There he is. He's in the gold medal position at the moment. A long wait for him to see whether it's good enough to give him a medal of any sort at all.
The gymnasts very accustomed to these moments, and they're tremendously aware of their own performance. They're not under any illusions. He'll know where he made his faults. He'll probably hope that all of them weren't found.
And 9.937, the first gymnast up into the 9.9s, but will it be enough?
Italy's Yuri Keki, who's done extremely well, the top Western European in these all-round championships. He came equal 10th with Kroll. Yuri, 20 years old. This is his second World Championship. Went out of the floor with 2 feet.
See the red flag raised behind him.
I think that opening tumble was a little bit of improvisation. He got such a good landing, he thought he might just as well work out of it, but forgot that he only had 12 meters square in which to do it. Nearly landed on the judge's lap.
We just heard the little siren then. That means he's got 20 seconds in which to finish. Oh, and he kicked out of that double back beautifully. Always a sign when you see the gymnast complete the double somersault when he's still really high and has time to kick out of it to the landing.
And that was an excellent finish. And he's really taking himself to task about the start, shaking his head, probably telling himself, what an idiot. And here it is, the opening tumble. Nice high skip step into the preparation speed builder. Double back, landed. Now, I think that it looked premeditated, but 2 feet behind the line and the red flag shown there.
It was so close. Just inches, a couple of inches only, and that shows how precise he's got to be. But a sign of what a good tumbler he is, the fact that he's not only working out of a double back, but working out of a double layout.
Shows the tremendous progress that has been made. Korobczynski getting ready for his next piece of apparatus.
The leader at the moment, and Keki straight down to work. There, the ankle support taped up for the floor. He won't need that again. He knows he's going into finals now, that landing probably the only real stress point on that ankle. The finals tend to be very slow after the non-stop activity of the top 36, but there is a new format of competition today, so that after this one, which is by itself, we shall have a men and women's final taking place simultaneously, which will speed things up a bit. 9.775 his score. The whistles go up because a lot of the crowd won't have known that he went out of the 12-meter area. And in fact, that shows what a quality exercise it was, because he could have even had 2/10 away. He might have been marked out of 9.8. Certainly no more than 9.9.
Li Chunyan from China. 23rd in the all-round event, so he must be some specialist on this piece. Beautiful. Straight in, full out. And a return tumble across the floor, changing direction from forwards to backwards. Now, some of the balance, strength and mobility of the exercise. double back somersault, putting a twist in the first one and leaving the twist out of the last one. Really shows strength, stamina and skill.
And in the qualifying competition, Li Chunyang scored 9.9. And that was, in fact, the highest score on the voluntaries in the team section of the competition.
Well, I know we're in for some exciting stuff, because in the warm-up I saw a Romanian performer full in, full out. When we say in and out, in being the first somersault and out being the second somersault, here's the example. There's a straight in. That was a double straight. I thought that was the first tumble.
So many of these gymnasts, Li Chunyang, a student from Guangdong province, right in the far south of China, and he's coached by Huang Yubin, famous Chinese gymnast of the past. 9.85 his score.
From Romania, Marius German. Now this is the man in warm-up I saw do a double twisting double back. Yes, and there it is, full in, full out.
The vault, the tumble that the great Li Ning of China made famous.
Of course, all of these tumbles, like any other skills, are built up gradually. They learn them on trampoline when they're very young. Then from trampette onto floor and a crash mat. Then onto the springy floor with a crash mat and a coach spotting them until they're eventually ready to launch them alone.
A bit wobbly there going into the balance. I'm sure it's the one little bit of the floor exercise that most of the men hate the most. And a single twisting double back to finish with. That really is amazing tumbling. Double twist in the first run, single twist in the last run, and by that time he's getting really tired.
Reason 22 years old. Sorry, that's Marius German. He's 22 years old, still a student of physical culture. And believe it or not, amidst this busy sport of gymnastics, he has times for hobbies. And just look at that action. 2 twists and 2 somersaults. Hobbies, football and tennis.
Again, trouble with the judges. They really are finding it very difficult to reach an accord that satisfies Eberhard Ginger and Boris Shackling, the 2 men in charge of this competition. They're the single twisting double back to finish with. And at 171 centimeters, German, quite a tall man, so even more of a thing. 9.787, and that puts him into 3rd place at the moment. Korobczynski in the gold medal position, Li Chunyang at the moment in silver, and German in bronze.
Toshiharu Sato, Japan's only representative in this floor final. Pull in, back out, a little bit ragged. One and a half twist there into punch front. Punch meaning a rebound out of the floor.
Won a bronze medal with the Japanese team in the Olympics.
Sato's coached by Hiroshi Kajiyama, a member of the national team for 6 years in the late 70s and early 80s.
Again, the buzzer you might have heard says that's the minimum length of the exercise over. So he's satisfied the requirement, but he has to be off the floor within another 20 seconds. A bit ragged in those opening and closing tumbles. Got over no crisis at all, but didn't really finish them off well. Didn't hold on to the landings at all. And never looked as if he was really trying to.
I think he had problems on his takeoff. The angle of takeoff from the Arab Spring flick-flack, which is the speed builder, determines the trajectory of the movement. And here he looked wrong to me. There's the Arab Spring, the flick. Yes, he didn't come into the floor steep enough. He put his feet in front of his hips, which caused him to sit the move. And that reduces the height and increases the speed of somersaulting.
Here the Thomas flares. And up into the pirouette before coming down to the splits. Gymnasts constantly changing those little linking movements in their routines, working them more, making them more difficult, a little more complex each time. Korobczynski looking actually quite nervous, wondering whether 9.937 will be enough, because last to go in this final will be his Russian teammate Vladimir Artyomov, and he knows that Artyomov will be pushing him very hard indeed. Artyomov capable, of course, of beating him. Sato 9.575, no medal for him, and he can't have expected one. That was not one of his best falls. But can Vladimir Artyomov overtake Korobczynski, who scored 9.937?
Olympic overall champion Vladimir Artyomov, a real stylist. Handspring, Barani, front somersault from the full twisting back somersault there.
Really extends those flares.
Artyomov, as ever, fanatical about detail. Nice balance. Very difficult to hold the balance. This floor has plywood and springs underneath and a very spongy carpet layer on the top. So to hold the balance, very difficult on the ankles. Pulling back out to finish. Step back at the end, the only major fault.
But he kept the front leg anchored, and Akiev, he can afford a smile. He knows that he's certainly got the gold medalist. What he doesn't know yet is whether it's that man, Igor Korobczynski, or Vladimir Artyomov. Looking very relaxed. He missed out in the all-round championship. Fault at the end took him out of the medal positions.
That's a beautiful preparation. That's called the hurdle step. Then the Arab Spring. He really does throw his arms rapidly to gather speed in his flick. Double layout. Didn't anchor the landing, but he was very clever how he retrieved his balance. Again, that tall, mighty skip step into the tumble run. A blur, even in slow motion, with the speed of the arms.
Artyomov, now 25 years old, from Vladimir. An amazing place, Vladimir. A relatively small Russian town, about 180 kilometers out of Moscow, and yet they've produced so many champion gymnasts. The great Andrianov, who was world champion in 1979, and then Yuri Korolev, who was world champion, the first modern world champion, in fact, ever to win the championship, lose it, and then win it back again. He was champion in 1981 and 1985. And then Artyomov winning the Olympic championship. Korobczynski, the new world champion.
Back in '79, I had the pleasure of spending a month at Vladimir, and Artyomov, just a young boy then, a very scruffy little gymnast actually. I would never have believed that he would be on the world circuit. He couldn't stretch his feet, and Rodionenko, the team coach at that time, used to give him a stick, making him work in the corner and stretch. And here he is now, Olympic champion.
And I wonder what they're saying to... Do you think you got it, Vlad? Well, I don't know, Igor. I was a bit rough there on that landing. They might have just nicked it away from me. But I think we've got gold and silver tied up between us. Boris Shaklin not on the telephone, and Eberhard Ginger still not happy with the feedback he's getting from his 6 judges.
Yes, John, it's not a simple matter of the master judge telling one of his members to drop the mark. It's not being he's not being dictated to. The judge has to see where he has made his own mistake. Otherwise, if he loses his string at the beginning and he's just judging to keep in line with the rest, then he's not giving a true valid opinion of what he sees.
The crowd impatient. The East Germans waiting. 9.875. And that gives him the silver medal. Korobczynski gold and Artyomov silver. There it is, the confirmation. Results in the final. Igor Korobczynski, his 3rd gold medal of these World Championships. 9.937, the winner, Vladimir Artyomov. 9.875, he takes silver. And Li Chunyang from China takes bronze for the Chinese. And the East Germans left out of it. Silvio Kroll there at the first to go with his 9.7 right down in 7th place. To a medal ceremony here.
Siegerehrung der 25. Weltmeisterschaften im Kunstturnen Stuttgart 1989.
Victory ceremony of the 25th World Gymnastics Championships.
Cérémonie protocolaire des 25e Championnats du Monde. Die Ehrung der Sieger am Boden nehmen vor Boris Shaklin, Mitglied des Technischen Komitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Max Bangerter, Mitglied des Exekutivkomitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Kwande Chang, Mitglied des Exekutivkomitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Und die Ehrenpreise des Organisationskomitees überreicht.
The various dignitaries involved in this. The 2 on the left, Boris Shaklin from the Soviet Union, who was the 2nd head judge on the Apparatus, and Max Bangerter from Hungary.
First and world champion at the floor, 1989.
Premier et champion du monde au sol 1989. Igor Korobczynski mit 9,937 Punkten.
So, for the 3rd time in these championships, Igor Korobczynski up onto the #1 spot on the rostrum.
Zweiter und damit Gewinner der Silbermedaille.
Second and winner of the silver medal.
Second et gagnant de la médaille d'argent, Wladimir Artemov mit 9,875 Punkten aus der UdSSR.
Artyomov takes the silver. He is an amazing gymnast, now 25 years old, and he was still one of the most supple of all of them in this final.
Third and winner of the bronze medal.
Troisième et gagnant de la médaille de bronze, Li Chunyang mit 9,85 Punkten aus der Volksrepublik China.
And the bronze to the 21-year-old from Guangdong province in China, Li Chunyang. Sometimes. At least she can't make a clean sweep. That's been done a couple of times. Sometimes. At least she can't make a clean sweep. That's been done a couple of times, not in World Championships, but the great Ludmila Teresheva won all 5 medals, the all-round and all the individual apparatus finals in a World Cup once.
Yes, and actually the individual record for the winner of the most medals at the Olympic Games is held by a gymnast, Larissa Latinina. And this, Madrodieva from Bulgaria. Milena Madrodieva.
Yurchenko straight, full twist. She's a very elegant gymnast, and she does hold that straight position beautifully.
And the person who wins the gold medal will have to produce the highest, longest, tightest vault and land it without a murmur. Madrodieva. Nice shape from the top of the apparatus. A little bit untidy with the arms coming out, but a definite instability on landing. And it's not just the landing, but the landing is the result of the technique of the vault. And that's why the judges are so heavy on landing penalties.
And that first vault, 9.912. Good balance between the judges. The top 9.95, the bottom 9.9. So they all agree about that one.
And now to the second vault. In the individual apparatus final, it isn't the best vault that counts. Both vaults are important. Both scores are counted. There. Now that is versatility. She could have done a Yurchenko straight. Unfortunately, she chose to do a handspring front and didn't quite make it.
Certainly nice to see a complete change of vault. The plant right on the front of the horse, holding the pike position, and that knee down, not quite a fall. And the first up in the men's pommel horse final, Igor Korobchinsky. The moment a Russian gymnast goes onto the pommel horse, you can notice a different line to anybody else. Look at him, so much in control. He started slowly, did a spindle very slowly, and then worked up the pace into that travel along the horse. Those legs locked together until he intentionally goes into the flares.
For the first time ever, I've noticed the horse moving while Korobchinsky was working on it. Wouldn't it all surprise if somebody came and tightened it up, because it's a bit disconcerting to have the horse wobble around. There's a chain underneath where it can be stabilized. Lovely high movement of the hips from the apparatus.
There, the spindle on the end of the horse, the most difficult place, because if you get the balance wrong, you can't put a hand down behind you. There's nothing there.
The overhead view really showing the difficulty. The whole of the exercise is spent on one arm, and now the travel in the middle of the pommels and then right to the end for his dismount.
Van D to vault. This beautiful Chinese gymnast, perhaps lacking in power a little.
Brilliant. I'm really pleased to see that. Opening vault, sweet as a nut. Nice still landing, good body tension.
Comes from Shanghai. And vault, very much a power event, Monica. A nice surprise to see her in the final.
A very nice surprise. Considering that she's so slight, she really punched off the top of the horse there. Propulsion from the top of the horse, the lift into the air, is paramount. Spending as little time. Really, they don't land on and thrust off. They just touch it in passing.
Mavrodieva scored 9.812 for her vault. So that's the benchmark that the other gymnasts have to go by.
Score hasn't gone up for her first vault yet, but now her second vault.
It's there, 9.937.
Sukahara tucked. Well, she obviously was struggling to find a second vault different to Yurchenko. And the Sukahara tucked has a low tariff. The maximum score she can get on that is 9.5. But I would suspect that Van D was quite surprised to get into the vault final.
Van D, 16 years old. Just about the absolute ideal height for a gymnast, 1.52 meters, weighs 41 kgs. And Karachynski, 9.687 on pommel. The judges there certainly marking very strictly, leaving themselves somewhere to go. That's good to see, because too often you'll find somebody being given a 9.9 early in the competition and then something much better comes up. Li Jing onto pommel. Really working up ahead of steam there. Not only the flares with the legs circling round his arms, but also twice there, the body turning on its longitudinal axis.
Very difficult work, going for a walk from one end of the apparatus to the other, and that was brilliant. That's where Karachynski lacked, on that intense difficulty. Jing linking together superior difficulty after superior difficulty.
There'll be a few purists who will think there was too big a content of flares in this exercise and not enough double leg circling, but he fulfilled the requirements of the code. There you can see much better from the top those twists as he's spinning.
And of course, in the individual apparatus final, because they're expected to do more moves of difficulty, they do less moves of simplicity. And just look at this travel. The pirouette from one end right over the pommels to the other end in perfect control. It's real mastery.
Van D's vault, 9.937. That's the score that she takes through. She's in the gold medal position at the moment. Next to go, Gabriela Potorac from Romania. And the Romanians, in a way, have taken a bit of a hammering in these championships. They'll be very anxious to redeem themselves today.
Yes, they started off on the 1-2-3 yesterday, but dropped back sadly. Some very disappointing stuff. Potterak, silver medalist in Seoul, but she has grown tremendously recently, and her power to weight ratio has gone. That is her strength pound for pound of her body weight. So she is struggling just a little. That was a full twist in the Yurchenko.
Wir warten auf die Wertung von Gabriela Potterak aus Rumänien für ihren ersten Sprung.
There you can see the judges: Canada, Switzerland, West Germany, Sweden, Israel, Korea in this competition.
Die 9,950.
First vault score for Potterak, 9.950.
Let me just correct the Fan D situation. Her carry-through score after the 9.2 for the second vault, 9.568.
Sukahara straight from Potterak, choosing two simpler vaults than she normally prefers, but both performed to a good standard, so that should bring her a high average. The final score is the average of the two. Slack knees manifesting themselves there in the slow motion shot. Valentin Mogilny. European champion on pommels. This man, a great stylist. Long, elegant, very powerful upper body. Oh, yes. Now lifting the hips high into the flares. And rotating as he goes. Back into the double leg circles. And this, the shears section.
Well, it's such a difficult exercise, I'm almost loath to say it, but a little bit hesitant at the end there. Not the very best that I've seen Mogilny perform.
Seemed to me a very long routine.
And I think that was reflected in a little bit of tiredness towards the end. He does put so much into it. There, he dropped very low indeed, but got it back.
Potterak's second vault score, 9.537, giving her an average of 9.743. That's her final score.
Japan, Brazil, Sweden, Yugoslavia, South Korea and Spain providing the judges for that contest. Well, I said I was loath to say it. A 10 up there for Mogilny. Larissa Loeing now. And a little fall forward. And I'm afraid that's her chances ruined. A case there, Monica, with Mogilny scoring a 10 on the pommel. He was getting tired at the end, but nobody else could have just put that amount of work into it, could they? Look, all the judges agreed.
It was a long routine. It had so much difficulty. And let's face it, he's such a perfectionist that a slight mistake looks apparent because his arms are always so straight.
Mogilny, the first man to get a 10 in these championships, and that was on the pommel too.
Well, John, we'll know he'll get a gold, but will he have it to himself? That's the point. Now Larissa Loeing onto her second vault. Tragedy on her first. Landed on hands and feet, under-rotated, probably lacking in commitment. Very nerve-wracking for inexperienced performers who haven't got this far in a major championship. It's quite something to be out on the podium amongst the top 8 in the world and being able to cope with it.
This vault final, it's still Mavrodieva from Bulgaria who leads 9.812. She was the first to go, but Fendi and Potterak both making mistakes. Larissa Loeing waiting for the first score to come up. We know it's going to be down in the low 9s because of the fall. And on the pommel horse, Korobczynski, 9.687. He's in the bronze medal position at the moment, but I don't think he'll stay there. Li Jing, 9.937, and Valentin Mogilny, a 10.
And it's after a fall like Larissa had that it's difficult for the judges, because depending on where the judges are sitting in their line, it may appear that she bore all of her weight on her hands, or to others just that she put her fingertips down, and they must decide on a general opinion. There's the score, 9.3.
And I would think there was just one judge who was right out of line, who then agreed that the touchdown was more severe. Oh, and a sit on the second vault too.
Nasty second vault, in as much that it's a blind landing, and if she was hesitant about it already, then it was doomed to failure. Vault is a piece of apparatus of commitment. Marian Reason from Romania to the pommels.
Now's the bit where he really has to work. Nice high shears once he got them going. Now into the flares section, hop change. Difficult at that stage of the exercise when his strength's beginning to give out. Good exercise from the Romanian.
Seeing that in direct comparison to Mogilny's, you can just see how long Mogilny's exercise was. But Reason putting in all of the required elements.
Larissa Loeing, 9.125 for her second vault. That gave her an average of 9.212. Kristina Bontash, next to go. And nobody really at the moment managing to land two sensational vaults. This final very open and there for the taking.
Full twist in Yurchenko from Kristina Bontash. The end view of the camera belies the straddled legs from the board.
The round off to give her the back mount to the horse. Nice and square. But so many of them just find it difficult to stop the, well, it's backwards momentum at the end, and just have to adjust. The great vault will be the one that just plops down there and doesn't need any of it.
Mind you, that was excellent in as much that she phased the vault. In other words, she had a specific takeoff time from the apparatus, the somersault and the twist, and she finished the twist and got a near straight line before coming into land.
Marianne Reason, 9.9. That takes him into the bronze medal position at the moment. Just reflecting, I'll do it after this because Bontash ready for her second vault. 9.975 she scored for the first. So, depending on what she gets for this one, obviously, but she's looking good for a medal at the moment.
Adrian Goriak, coach to the Romanian team, patting her on the back. And the second vault, front movement in. That's a Cuervo, so it's handspring, half twist, and then backward somersault piked off. That's a full 10 tariff. Good variety from Bontash.
On to pommel, Li Chunyang. low over the pommels. He always is, but somehow he doesn't seem to catch them. He terrifies me. Well, he got through it, and there's some very difficult elements in there. Sometimes wonder how he's going to get through it.
Yes, he does have his hips extremely low to the apparatus, but surely can't produce a very high score. But having got this far into the top 8, his work must be appealing.
Christina Bontash takes the lead in the vault, 9.95.
And here's somebody who could better that. Alessia Dudnik from the Soviet Union. Oh, how about that? What a curler.
Wonderful technique, this girl. When we see it in slow motion, you'll see how late she leaves the twisting.
Dudnik didn't make the top 36, but just look at this. Double twisting Yurchenko, late twist so that she got a nice wide arm wrap so that the twist accelerated quickly.
Find it amazing when she's going for 2 twists, but she really does show that back position first. Look at that, and then goes into the twist and still manages to whip round into 2 of them.
Yes, brilliant. It seems unfair that a full twisting Yurchenko and a double twisting Yurchenko are the same tariff.
And she's got a 10 for it. Dudnik's first vault, the sheer difficulty of the vault and the way she performs it. Just the Brazilian found some small fault in it, but all the others agreed it was a 10, and as the top and bottom marks are discarded, a 10 it is.
I would agree with the Brazilian. I could see some flexion of the knees, but on the other hand, for the sheer volume of activity from the apparatus, it was worth the 10, but not for the 4. Handspring from somersault, half twist out. Now that isn't a 10 tariff vault, that's only a 9.9. Had she done it in the piked position, it would have been a 10.
Lee Chunyang, 9.875 for his pommel horse. And this is Dimitar Tashkov from Bulgaria. She is, you can see, a totally different line. Oh, and in fact, an off line. He never really looked as if he got started. In fact, he looked like a pretty poor pommel horse worker. We know he can't possibly be that because he qualified for this final, but sometimes, and particularly on this piece of apparatus, you just get it wrong, get the rhythm wrong, and you never really get going.
No, and when you do go wrong, it looks very ugly on their pommels, because the momentum stops so suddenly. Dudnik's second vault, 9.975, so it was in actual fact a 10 tariff, forgetting that the tariff on that had been increased. So that gives her an average of 9.987.
Aus der Bundesliga als nächstes Weitsprung Natalia Lashinova.
Little Natalia Lashinova. Two gold medals she has, sorry, not 2 gold medals, a gold and a silver she has at the moment.
Lashinova, one of the little powerhouses in gymnastics. Gymnasts need so many qualities. They need grace, strength, suppleness, power. She naturally is powerful. She hasn't had to train too hard on it. Yurchenko, full twist, good line, but just not managing to hold the landing as well as she has done.
Dudnik in the gold medal position at the moment. And Bontash from Romania in the silver medal position, and Mavrodieva from Bulgaria in the bronze position. 9.95. Everybody agreed apart from the Swede, and the .05 coming off, I would think, for the landing. The Swede taking a full .1 off.
Lashinova could upset the apple cart on the position so far if she could nail the landing. Handspring, front 1.5. Barani, that's half a twist out of the somersault. And that is now a 10 tariff. A handspring front 1.5 somersault was increased by 0.1 of a tariff in 1988.
Peshkov just 9.1 for his pommel routine.
Shaba Fajkush from Hungary. Oh, that's a nice potent start. Oh dear. Kiss of death from me yet again. Very difficult to regain momentum and composure when something goes so badly wrong.
Shaba Fajkush comes from a long line of Hungarian specialists on the pommel horse, and you could see the dismay on his face as he made a mess of that routine. There's a man who's feeling happy with the well, knows he's got the gold, and with only Andreas Becker to go, looking more and more likely that he's got it by himself. Brandy Johnson from the USA. Little Lashinova scored 9.868. That takes her into the bronze medal position.
Full twisting Yurchenko from Brandy Johnson. Brandy's was a good vault, but it just didn't have the phasing that some of the better vaults have. We didn't see distinctly the lift from the apparatus, then the twist, and then the landing. And there, apparent from the end, it all blended into one, and the better vaults are distinctly phased.
9.937, so a chance here for Brandy Johnson to get herself into the medals. All the Americans rooting for her. She needs to get above 9.868 to get herself a medal.
And Brandy is capable of this. She's a very powerful girl, and she does have several vaults in her repertoire.
Curvo vault, and I think that could have been good enough. She looks happy with it.
This is a very, very difficult vault to do. Now, I said that was a curve. I agreed with John, but it was a very early half twist in the handspring 1.5. Difficult to detect in fast motion which is which.
Again, showing good variety. The rules of vault have actually made it much better now that you do have to do two completely different vaults. The little twist extra, not allowed anymore. You've got to go to a totally different family of vault, but very nice to see some doing front and some doing back. Peshkuj 8.7 for his pommel horse, and Brandy Johnson now waiting. It looked good to us. Andreas Wecker, last to go in the pommel horse final.
Nice transition there from Wecker, from high to low. Shears always very difficult. Have to be really supple and long-legged to get a good shears section. A little bit late with an arm bend on the end. The slightest arm bend on the top of the apparatus is deductible. Good routine though.
And Brandy Johnson's scores come up. Her second vault, 9.95, an average of 9.943, and that takes her into the bronze medal position. The Americans will love that. There, a great shot of the spindling in flares. An amazing number of spindles, 3 or 4 complete long rotations of the body while he was circling there in shears. Never once getting his arms out of line with the rest of his body so that he got himself into problems. Tremendous exercise from Wecker. And 9.962 for him. Into the silver medal position. McGillney at 10. He's the gold, we knew that already, but Wecker doing his utmost. And Brandy Johnson taking third place there. Happy lady. Alessia Dudnik, the gold winner. The scores you see across the top, those for her second vault. Just missed perfection there, 9.975.
So on the vault rostrum, 3 different nations for the ladies. So that's going to be nice. Good start to the events when we see a nice international flavour.
Valentin McGillney, he's been winning medals on the pommel horse forever. He was first in the Montreal World Championships. Always been there and about, won another gold on pommel in the Olympics. And there, the confirmation of the women's vault, Alessia Dudnik taking gold, 9.987, the girl who didn't even make the top 36 final. Didn't compete in the all-round because there were 3 Russian girls better than her over the 4 pieces of apparatus. And there, confirmation of the pommel, Valentin McGillney taking gold with the 10, Andreas Wecker from East Germany taking the silver, Li Jing from China taking the bronze. So 3 different nations represented there as well, and that's good to see. We'll take another break there. We'll be back with the rings and uneven bars final in a couple of moments. Quite a surprise in some ways that she is such a good vaulter, Monica, because she's not particularly strong looking or particularly tall. In fact, she's quite petite, but she really does manage to pull it off when it counts, doesn't she?
I think certain vaults, especially with Alesia's shape, she did a double twisting Yurchenko, so she twists like a pencil very, very rapidly, and that vault lends itself to her particular shape.
Little Lashanova with the laughing eyes in 4th place.
Sechste mit 9,743 Punkten. Aus Rumänien, Gabriela Potorak. Siebte mit 9,568 Punkten.
Nice to see Bulgarians, Americans, Russians, all represented in a final. Fandi there from China, getting certificates for being runners-up in the final event. And of course, proudly, Brandy Johnson in the bronze medal position there. Larissa Lowing from Canada made a sad debut to the final, but nevertheless, she's got a certificate to prove her presence. World vault champion Alesia Dudnik performing that double twisting Yurchenko, which took her to gold.
So a wave to the crowd, and the Soviet Union at the moment have still got a stranglehold on the gold medals. They won the team event in the men's and women's competition. We had Korobczynski as the all-round men's champion. We had Svetlana Boginskaya as the women's champion. And on the 2 finals, so far decided today, the USSR continuing to dominate.
Siegerehrung der 25. Weltmeisterschaften im Kunstturnen Stuttgart 1989.
Victory ceremony of the 25th World Gymnastics Championships.
Cérémonie protocolaire des 25e Championnats du Monde. Die Ehrung der Sieger am Pauschenpferd nehmen vor William Rötzheim, Mitglied des Technischen Komitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Siegfried Fischer, Mitglied des Exekutivkomitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Nikola Hadjev, Mitglied des Exekutivkomitees des Internationalen Turnerbundes.
Und die Ehrenpreise der Mercedes-Benz AG überreicht Herr Jörg Schleier.
The presentation party just being introduced.
Am Pauschenpferd 1989.
First and world champion at the Pommel Horse 1989.
Premier et champion du monde au cheval d'Arcan 1989.
Mit 10,00 Punkten aus der UdSSR, Valentin Mogilny.
Valentin Mogilny steps up to take his second world pommel title. He won in Montreal in 1985, missed out in 1987, but he's back here again in 1989 to regain the world pommel horse title.
Und damit Gewinner der Silbermedaille.
Second and winner of the silver
Quite an
medal
achievement to remain at the top of the world 4 years later.
mit 9,962 Punkten aus der Deutschen Demokratischen Republik, Andreas Wecker.
Yes, there are always young pretenders snapping at your heels, and there's one of them. Andreas Wecker from East Germany took silver. Wecker becoming a real force in the men's
Gewinner der Bronzemedaille.
field. We know he's a high bar specialist, but now with that extra upper body strength that he's put on since the European Championships even, he's looking
Aus der
like a real
Volksrepublik
contender
China,
on pommel horse and rings as well.
China in the bronze medal position for the second time today in the men's events. Li Jing, proud to receive the bronze. Chinese also took the bronze in the men's team event. But again, 3 different nations on the rostrum: the Soviet Union, East Germany and China. Gymnasts being presented with gifts from the organising body, the West German Gymnastic Federation. Now gymnastics, a well-sponsored sport.
It's quite an amazing thing to go into the house of some of these top gymnasts. I was lucky enough to go into Yuri Korolyov's flat in Vladimir a couple of years ago and just see the number of medals that they actually win over a career when they're that successful. Now the minor placings. 4th place, Marian Rizan from Romania. And warm applause from Li Jing, because Li Chunyang, his Chinese teammate, comes in 5th.
9,687 Punkten aus der UdSSR, Igor Korobczynski.
And for once, Igor Korobczynski not up there on the top of the rostrum, but having to take one of the minor placings.
Mit 9,1 Punkten aus Bulgarien.
I was going to say, Johnny doesn't look too happy. Polite, but not too pleased not to be on that rostrum. Tremendous competitor, Korobczynski.
Und Achter mit 8,7 Punkten aus Ungarn, Csaba Fajkus.
Dimitar Teskov and Csaba Fajkus bringing up the rear. So the Soviets have still won all the goals there are going so far. I wonder whether anyone can break that monopoly. We'll be back with the rings and asymmetric bars finals in a moment. Bars. First to go, Sandy Woolsey from the USA, Yang Bo from China, Gabriela Potorak from Romania, Fan Di from China, Christy Henrich from the USA, Olga Strajeva from the Soviet Union, and over the page, we can't leave those two out, can we? Svetlana Boginskaya and Daniela Silivash. We might well see that decided by those last two exercises. Just going back to what we were talking about, Monica, quickly for a moment, do you think the judges would have talked amongst themselves too? Let's first of all, though, have a look at the rings rundown. Valentin Mogilny in this final again. He's just taken gold on pommel. Another chance here. Andreas Wecker also in the last final. And Valentin Marinic this time from the Soviet Union. Didn't qualify for the all-round top 36 competition. Christosov, Kalofa Christosov from Bulgaria. Sven Tifelt and Toshiharu Sato. And then Yuri Keki from Italy. And Andreas Aguila from West Germany, so you can expect enormous cheers for that. As the gymnasts warm up, let's just go back to the point we were making. Do you think there's a fair amount of discussion in the evening after the competition's over between the judges as well, those that weren't involved and those that were involved?
Well, certainly from those that weren't involved, because those that were involved take an oath not to discuss the championship and the marks given. But that doesn't mean to say their ears are out of order, because I think that they'd have had a fair amount of ear bashing, as it were, from the spectators. Because Daniela Silivash had a 10 in the first competition, the team competition, and she did have a little shift on the bottom bar with her hands. Nevertheless, it was a wonderful routine and deserved the 10. But in the individual all-around competition, she didn't have that little shift, and she got less marks, and this we couldn't make out.
There the other remaining, Gabriela Potorak. And they'll be so anxious to get something out of this. It really has been a very disappointing championships for the Romanians. They came into the 1987 World Championships in Rotterdam looking absolutely perfect. I've never seen a team so together, so ready to peak for the big occasion. And the moment that they took the floor in the team event, you knew that there was something special afoot and that they had worked and they were determined to knock the Soviets off their perch. And they didn't quite achieve that this time, Monica.
But I think a lot has to do with the fact that they were knowledgeable about their own situation. The Romanians were absolutely hampered by injury. Dobre, the world champion, not able to reach any particular type of form due to 2 knee operations, and in the end she had to come into the championship to make up for injury, and they are aware of that. And you know, so are the Soviets. The Soviets knew just how weak the Romanians were psychologically.
And the trouble with that is that you go through the first competition, the team competition, and you're affected in that, and it's very hard to shake that off and then go through into the individual competition and say, right, now's our chance. Daniela Silivash, remember, with that fall-off beam in the all-round competition right at the end, dropped right down to 12th position in the all-round.
I think it was a very sad day for Silivas yesterday. Every sport has its moments where we must criticise. Everything isn't perfect. And I really feel that the decision on the asymmetric bars against the 10 for Silivas had a detrimental effect on her. She's only human. She's only 19 years old. She may be a hardened gymnast, but she's a sensitive human being. And she was affected by that because she felt it was unjust.
Yes, particularly as it meant that by the time she went on beam, she knew it was impossible to win the gold. Had she got the 10 on A-bar, she'd have been level with Boginskier, and she could therefore have equalled her after Boginskier had got the 10 on vault, but there was no way that she could even equal her, and I think she set her heart so much on getting a gold. She's, I think the phrase you used yesterday was, she's been the bridesmaid so often, nearly there. She's won individual championships, but when you're right at the top of the tree, the thing you're looking for is that elusive all-round championship, and she got pipped in the Europeans by Boginskier and pipped in the Olympics by Shushanova, and pipped when she might have been the favorite in '87 by Dobre, her own teammate, and this perhaps her last chance.
I think one aspect in which I feel sorry for Silivas is the fact that Shushanova was a real hard character. I don't mean that as a human being, but I mean as a gymnast in the competition arena. And she was probably not sad to see the back of Shushanova, but she didn't bargain for meeting up with Boginskaya, who is so hard. Although I didn't see yesterday, I believe that Boginskaya went and stood right beside the beam and stared at her throughout her performance. And that is a hard psychological manoeuvre, very, very hard, and it's something that Silivas just wouldn't do.
Well, the preparations, as you can see on the uneven bars, lengthy. They really do, every gymnast likes the bars slightly different. They use a mixture of moisture and chalk to get exactly the right tackiness. And you see Boginskier there doing all that chalking, and that's just for her practice.
Yes, that's why the asymmetric bar warm-up is longer than any other. They give them the same amount of time on the apparatus, but allow chalking up time. The dimensions of the asymmetric bars, the top bar is 230 centimetres, and that is used to be from the ground, but now it's from the mat. And the bottom bar, 150 centimetres. And the distance between the two bars can be moved down to 82 centimetres. And now there isn't a maximum width in the FIG rules because the dimensions have not been updated since 1979, whilst the equipment in itself has improved tremendously. Now this set of bars moves beyond the 102 centimetres, which it used to be, because the girls can almost use that high bar of the A bars like a men's high bar.
Yes, very noticeable that it's now much smaller in circumference. It used to be wood. What will these be made of, Monica?
Well, it used to be oval, and it was made of laminated hickory, which meant the recoil was very slow. Now these are aluminium, and they have a very fine fiberglass, well, a wood laminate or a fiberglass covering, mostly a wood laminate. But because gymnasts are so ruthless on the apparatus, they squirt water on and spit on the laminate that it lifts it, and they're trying to get a fiberglass alternative.
At last, we're ready to go. Sandy Woolsey from the USA. She qualified with 9.837 in the compulsories and 9.9 on her first set of voluntary exercises.
And Sandy did very well, as did all of the Americans, to come into 8th position in the overall competition. But now, this is for the specialists. Kachev, back straddle to handstand. Clear circle, hex half turn. And A element, up start, another A element to get to the top bar. The giant circle, full twist, double back away.
Meine Damen und Herren, wir werden jeweils bei beiden Geräten auf die Wertungen warten.
Now we usually think of A as being the best. An A on the school report always means the hardest, the best, the most successful. But in gymnastics, an A element is, as is the beginning of the alphabet, the easiest, the beginning. Then B, the next most difficult, C, and then D. On top of a D element, which is just being performed, is a bonus of either 0.1 or 0.2. Lateral instability there, not managing to make the giant circle a good round swing, moving her to the left of the asymmetric bars on her dismount.
Anxious looks from the coaches. She's from Wheatridge in Colorado, the Desert Devils Club. And I can't say I know, but I guess one of the guy with his arm around her shoulder must be Stormy Eaton. He's her coach there in the background. And she scores 9.8.
To the rings. In the Soviet Union, we all know his face by now, Valentin Mogilny. Strong man.
Married to Olga Bicharova, the 1981 all-round world champion.
And rumour has it that he's under rule of thumb because she helps to coach him.
Well, he's in trouble there in the middle of the exercise. The rings swinging a great deal more. Just one gold on pommel, but I don't think that's going to be good enough to repeat it on the rings.
Well, you know, he was really clever. A lesser gymnast would have been off the apparatus. He actually moved his hips, gave it a little hippy shake to square himself up on the apparatus and stay there. And this is where the muscular tension throughout the back helped him. Narrowing the rings to press up to handstand. The most there was the twist that we saw in the middle of the routine, which badly affected him, but he recovered from it so well.
He trains at the Army Club, Sieska Club in Moscow, and his personal coach is Leonid Arkiev, the Russian team coach, along with his wife. Quite unusual to have a woman coach, but she actually gets an official mention in the FIG documentation.
Well, in many sports now, there are psychological mentors, people who encourage and coach the athlete or the swimmer, whoever they may be, to their psychological approach to their sport. Well, he doesn't have to pay anybody to do that. His wife does it very efficiently by the looks of things.
Yeah, she was a tiny little gymnast, but very hard. Surprised everybody. Came out of the blue. She was one of the lesser names in the Soviet team at that time, but it was her who came through with incredible strength of character as some of the others made mistakes. And Valentin Mogilny needs that mental hardness from her, because he's always been the one who can produce the most brilliant work in the world but can't do it consistently over 6 pieces. And what we've got here is a big divergence of opinion on his marks.
And these very difficult moments for the gymnasts, we all know that they're famous. They're used to being under the eagle eye of supporters and judges. But right now, Mogilny is sitting in a special chair, and he knows that constantly he is under the eye of millions of people because a television camera is right in front of him.
This is quite amusing. half the judges on the pommel horse are all turned their chairs around and are looking over to the asymmetric bars, ready for the start of Yang Bo's routine, which everybody's waiting for with interest. And just two of the judges still arguing with the head judge, but 9.5 it is, and a big grin from McGillney. He knew that by his standards it was a poor road exercise.
Obviously that lateral instability caused him to miss out a scoring element, and that's why he's so low. And here she is, Yang Bo from China. And it's not just what she does, but it's the way she does things. For such a tiny girl, magnificent high elements and large swings.
She's so crisp in those giants. Unfortunately, not one of her best dismounts. A little bit low coming out of it, and really did need quite a big step forward.
It is difficult to anchor all of that travel and momentum. Sometimes a little longer bend of the knees would keep them still, but of course, if coming into the floor from a height, if one bends the knees too much, the seat is the next thing to touch the floor. That's the high Jaeger. Those knees were meant to bend on the half turn to recatch in between the bars, that was permitted. And not many people can take that double back somersault, what's called a double back away, because as she leaves go of the bar, her back is towards the floor. Not many can take it above the bar.
16 years old and has a very intensive training schedule, 6 hours a day. Started gymnastics in 1980 when she was 7 years old. Andreas Wecker there, just chalking up, ready to come on to the rings.
Young Andreas first made his debut onto the international scene when he became the first ever Eastern European gymnast to win the Junior European Championships. This is a competition for the under-18 men. Yang Bo, 9.9, and that little jump forwards on the landing, a penalty for her.
Andreas Wecker. We'll see the development that he's made in the last 6 months.
Requiring tremendous strength in the shoulders. As if once isn't enough, he has the audacity to do it twice. Lowering down, that's called a planche, when the shoulders are in front of the wrists.
Very deliberate, very controlled, and you won't see a stronger combination of moves than that.
It's the sheer volume of difficulty added together. Oh, yes. Double twisting, double back. And that was a really grand routine. Look at these Germans celebrating.
And these German coaches too. You can sometimes tell with the coaches, there's always a bit of hugging and congratulating that goes on as the gymnast comes off the podium. But sometimes they really do know it's been one of the very best they've ever performed in competition, and the genuine excitement breaks through.
Oh yes, we all try our little tactics on the judges, but just look at the shoulder development on that man. Tremendous. Well, 19-year-old. called the crucifix. But the tactics with the judges, sometimes if I'm at a competition with somebody, I'll say, oh, that was quite good, aloud for the judges to hear, hoping that they might agree with me. But I think that Wecker was genuinely pleased with his own performance. And that's a fair enough yardstick. 2 twists.
And perfect on the landing. He's going to go close. There you can see just how much movement there is in a double twisting, double back somersault.
The most difficult thing about a ring dismount is the coordination of the release. Both of the hands must leave go of the rings simultaneously.
Absolutely, and if you push a bit too much out instead of down, you don't get the lift-off that you're expecting, and that can give you a very, very nasty moment or two indeed. It's not like the high bar where you can swing up into it and take off in an upward direction. My eyes are peeled to the scoreboards.
These German crowds cheering on the judges. Master judge, head of the jury, coming to their decision now.
Wecker looking happy and confident. He's looking a little unhappy about perhaps what he's seen in front of him. The East German coach, I think, trying to see over the judge's shoulders.
Yes, Mr. Landgraf trying to peek at some of the individual scores.
The head judge on this piece, Hartmut Fink, and Fung Jibai, the second head judge. The other judges from North Korea, Romania, Great Britain, France, the USA, and China.
And there's more to the pride of winning a gold medal at a World Championships. Should the gymnast retire, they can become professional and travel around the world by ranking in the medals and the individual apparatus finals and the all-around finals. That means that their forthcoming competition year becomes more interesting because they get invited to more of the higher ranking competitions, and the more they're exposed to the world and the judges of the world, the more likely their talents are to be recognized.
Well, still the arguments go on. The judges from nations not competing in the final, and that means you get some of the less experienced ones in, which sometimes makes it take longer. The deliberations are over. The score, a disappointing 9.862.
And I think that the only real criticism, as far as I can see from the exercise, was that the strength elements were bunched together at the beginning of the exercise. I didn't see a press to handstand, which is one of the compulsory elements within the voluntary exercise.
Gabriela Potorak. Remember, it seems a long time since we were at the uneven bars. Yang Bo in the lead at the moment with 9.9 and Sandy Woolsey 9.8.
That's where she came to grief in the all-around competition on the asymmetric bars, caught her heel and fell off. So that was obviously a tense moment for her whilst coming up to that, going very well.
Yes, I have to say, I don't like the way she performs that element in her routine. She doesn't swing into it and get any lift at all. She completes the somersault really as she's dropping.
Yes, it's a very difficult combination, and of course the camera angle doesn't really do the movement a great deal of justice. There's the inward full, and she doesn't quite square up before lifting into the Jaeger, so it's not very high.
A long wait on the podium before she had to go up on the apparatus. Will that have affected her?
Well, it's easy enough to say that she ought to be used to it by now, but it bound to. They are psyched up, they are nervous, and yes, it will affect her. But the minute she gets onto the apparatus, she should be able to overcome or destroy any of the nerves that have been quelling inside her. She's been in that situation many times before, although only coming into the World Championship team, or the world team, for the first time at the Olympics, preceding her senior international career. She's been seasoned as a junior all over the world. Jackie Fye there, from America, on the left of the screen, master judge.
I have to say, it's really our job to commentate, and not so much to comment on the running of the tournament, but I cannot understand why they are not allowing the next piece of the next worker on the men's apparatus to go before the score comes up. It would speed things up a great deal and make life more interesting for everybody. Scores there now, though. Potterack 9.925 for her uneven bars, and that takes her into the lead at the moment.
Seems quite unreasonable that that was 0.025 better than Yang Bo's. Now, Vitaly Marinish to the rings. Vitaly did not make the top 36. Competition 2, a member of the winning team. European champion on the rings.
Got a very good line to his work. So he does that move up to handstand with great ease, but he doesn't look so heavily muscled as Andreas Wecker. Comes from Odessa. He's a sports instructor at one of the sports centers down there. Just held on to the landing, but he did hold on to it. And an appreciative applause from Artyev, the Russian coach, almost as if to say, how did you manage that? Well done.
Wrenching on the shoulders. Very compact gymnast, Marinic. Very straight arm, pressing the shoulders through. 2 somersaults. We can't call that straight. He went through an open, an arch, and then a pike. But of course the gymnasts are permitted to do that. The first somersault can be piked and the second tucked, or the first one whipped and the second straight. They can produce 2 shapes in a double somersault.
Been in gymnastics since 1978. 11 years of hard training. Most of it under Igor Virny at the Sieska Club in Moscow.
John, at the home of so many former champions. 9.812.
That puts him second behind Becker. We're so used to expecting ultra-high scores, the rings judges being very cautious, and all credit to them for that. There's nothing to say that it won't be won with a 9.862.
Fan Di, 16-year-old from China. By now a very familiar face. That lissom body been gracing the apparatus since the World Championships, the Olympic Games in 1988 and the World Championships in 1987. Where in actual fact she did score a 10 in a voluntary exercise.
And immediately a wonderful reaction from the crowd. You really do know when there's something special happening, and Pandy on the asymmetric bars is one of the great sights in women's gymnastics.
And whilst we can't take anything away from the Russians at these World Championships, this has been a highlight. Look at the height of that move. The Jaeger somersault sailing above the bar. This has been a highlight for the Chinese gymnasts because they've made so much progress. Just look at it, sailing above the air. Audience impatient, they want to 10, so do I.
It certainly excited them. They're trying to work on the judges. The judges will try and shut that out of their minds, but if they needed any confirmation that that was a bit special, the audience are just helping them and giving them the confidence. There it is, it's a 10. Pandy has got a 10. So we have a Chinese gold medal on the asymmetric bars. Still got to decide, though, whether she's going to get it by herself. Somebody else could get there, too.
Oh, and that's great for the Chinese camp. The last great exponent of the asymmetric bars was Ma Yan-hong back in 81. In 1980, Ma Yan-hong actually in England at university in Liverpool now.
Pandy, a 10 for her. And after all the excitement that's suddenly woken up this arena, Kalofa Christosov from Bulgaria on to the rings.
Christosov, something special on rings. He was 7th in the 87 World Championships. And the Europeans made the finals, equal 5th along with McGillney and Jonassen from Sweden. Great stuff.
The swing to cross had a particularly difficult move. The inverted cross and then the giant swing in that position to there again. Sticks the landing beautifully.
Lubomir, 20. Trains in Sofia with Lubin Nedelkov. Lubin been responsible for his introduction and his total success in gymnastics. The Bulgarians really created a new era in men's gymnastics. They, even before the Russians, became very well conditioned, and I think it was the Russians that took a leaf out of the Bulgarians' book about body preparation. And of course the Bulgarian men join in with the balletic training of the rhythmic sportive gymnastic teams along with the artistic gymnasts. They train very hard on the dance side.
Andreas Becker being highlighted as the man in the lead at the moment. 9.862 his score. Feng Zhibai nearest us.
Yes, he's from Hungary and he's been on the international gymnastics scene for years. The man on the right of our screen. He really has been an administrator in the sport since the late 1960s. He was an Olympic gymnast himself. As are many of the judges. It's not a sport where people just decide that they might take up gymnastic judging. The majority of members have once been international performers. Some are very good and they keep up their learning process. They continue to travel and watch the championships and read their books. And others don't quite keep up to date. And this is where the controversy arrives in judging. But it's good to have so many opinions, 6 opinions.
Christosov. And then at the other end of the arena, he waits, wondering what's in store for him, and Fandi can sit back and relax. That makes all the training over all those years worthwhile. A gold at the World Championships. She'll go home now a national heroine. And this judging on the men's rings now getting tedious. The scores at last being allowed to go up. 9.375. Still Vecker in the lead. North Korea, Romania, Great Britain, France, USA, and China.
Christosov looks absolutely bewildered at that score. He gave a polite smile, but he doesn't really understand.
Vecker still in the driving seat. Christy Henrich from the USA onto the A-bars. Didn't make the top 36.
Boy, she really did hit everything. Christina Henrich doing extremely well. Everything went so smoothly. Hit every shape. Kachev has the counter swing into the back straddle, stoop on, and that's called a toe on, toe off to handstand.
Christy Henrich. And we've just had some interesting news come through. The Romanians protested the score of Christina Bontaș, and they've succeeded with their protest in the vault final. So that changes the result. Christina Bontaș to share with Brandy Johnson the silver medal. There's the score. .995 to Henrich. 110 from the Swiss judge there. Sven Tippelt. Knows that there's still some medals to be won on this piece of apparatus. It's been such a slow competition. It's hard to keep track of, but Vecker in the lead with 9.862.
Very positive. Whilst the competition is slow, usually gymnastic championships take place at such a pace, the audience get a quick look at the gymnasts in, working, and then out of the arena. Here they can really savour seeing their reactions as people, other than their performance as a gymnast.
Absolutely still there, Sven Tippelt. On my move. Swings back up to handstand and gets those rings absolutely still again. And that lovely dismount punches the air. He's had his fair share of disappointments. A few more mistakes in the championship overall than he'd have expected to make, but gets it all right in that one.
He really does have difficult routines on all 6 pieces of apparatus.
And we could see here an East German 1-2. Remember, Andreas Wecker in the lead at the moment from East Germany, and Tippelt now going to challenge him.
And there are some very good performers to follow. This is going to be a hard battle. Whoever wins this rings exercise, this rings gold medal, are going to be really pleased with themselves. Having to squeeze every 100th of a mark out of the judges. They're not giving anything away. But it's better than seeing 10s everywhere.
There's the dismount. Comes out in the front somersault. Is it 1.5 twist there, Monica?
It's actually a full in, back out, yes. Full twist in the first somersault, pike back in the second.
Yes, I don't think he was very happy with the way he'd been going in these championships, because he's a very determined performer and normally manages to produce his best gymnastics on the big occasion, but he's made a few mistakes and came out obviously today deciding that he was going to put all that right.
And John, whilst we may complain about the waiting around, we must remember that this is the World Championship and these gymnasts have worked really hard to get here, and we do want the judges to give every thought to their decision in the end, and this is really important to the gymnasts, so they don't mind waiting as long as the decision's accurate.
Just to clarify that situation on the vault, in fact, if you remember, Christina Bontash finished second and Brandy Johnson third. It's the Americans who protested the Brandy Johnson mark, and she was upgraded from 9.943 up to 9.95, so she joins Christina Bontash in the silver medal position. Doesn't affect the gold medal. That went to Alessia Dudnik of the Soviet Union.
Now, in the case of a protest, if the coach from the national body feels that their gymnast did not get a fair deal, they can then look at the marks, and if the master judge's mark is amongst the highest or a little bit higher, then he can have a try at the protest, and he must apply to the jury of appeal, and there is a special appeal jury through which the protest is launched.
Well, 9.762, we might well see a protest about that mark, because Sven Tippelt very disappointed about it, puts him in third position at the moment, but I think he expected better.
Whilst to the asymmetric bars, after a very long wait, the Soviet Union have Olga Strzeżewa, and she's to follow a 10. Of course, it was China's Fandi who was last on the bars to get that 10.
Amazing how lazily she seems to come off in that double back.
She's a very strong gymnast. Everything looks so effortless. The second phase of her work, going up to the high bar, is really men's high bar work. It's incredibly difficult. Called an Apparatus. Now, little Yangbo and Fandi discussing the routine that they've just seen. Strzeżewa seems quite satisfied with her routine, and that's a lot to go by if the gymnasts are satisfied with themselves. closer look at there's the Ginger from Strajeva. That's a really nice transition from the high to the low bar. I was hoping that we'd see in slow motion the particular highlight of the routine, but the directors omitted that, unfortunately.
There's that mount, the somersault over the low bar, onto the high bar.
The Shapoznikova, that is the difficult combination, coming into the upper eyes, up to the handstand, half turning and then going into the Ginger. 4 D elements linked together in a row without a break.
And that D is for difficulty. They have to include 2 D elements at least in these individual apparatus final routines. They're the most difficult elements. But somebody like Strajeva has much, much more to her exercise than that. She still hasn't, though, managed to wrest the 10 out of the judges. 9.975. Mexico, Great Britain and Switzerland gave her 10, but the others 9.95. That puts her equal second. Sorry, that puts her second by herself. Fanby on 10.
Toshiharu Sato from Japan. He was 12th in the all-round event. That's when the gymnasts had to complete all 6 pieces of apparatus and their optional exercises.
The half lever in the cross position and then drops his legs to the classic crucifix. Half lever. He's another gymnast putting all his strength elements into the beginning of the exercise. There's the press to handstand. Two forward rolls and up to handstand. Got the control back beautifully. Oh, in trouble there though. Short up into the handstand position, had to fight for it, and the ring swinging, and again a bit short on his dismount. I'm sure that Andreas Becker just went a big sigh of relief, knows that he's safe after that exercise.
It's in a rings exercise when he's just pounding his chest there, that his heartbeat went up. It's in a rings exercise where the gymnasts often have to improvise. Now, after this element, does the double forward roll, pike, nice straight arms, up to handstand, a really nice full stop. But when they do lose tension in the middle back, they then have to open the rings to stop the rings from swinging. So sometimes they might have to miss out an element.
That a repeat of the same element from a different angle. Toshiharu Sato from Osaka, and he is 20 years old. Got a team bronze medal in the Olympic Games in Seoul just about a year ago now, just over a year ago.
And Becker seems to have got over his disappointment. He was numb for a moment. I think he was hoping to get a 10, or at least a higher mark than the rest to put him in the lead, but he's not in the driving seat. I beg your pardon, he's in the lead. I was thinking that he got lower than he did, but I think he was hoping for a 10 so that nobody could touch him.
Yes, the judge is certainly being tough. 9.862 would be the lowest winning mark so far. That's what he's got, but the closest to him, Marinic from the Soviet Union, 9.812. Full point 0.5 behind him. Mogilny just 9.5, Christosov 9.375, and Sven Tippelt He was the one who was particularly disappointed, I think. 9.762. But he's holding on to the bronze medal position at the moment.
Sato's score 9.625. And you won't see any sulking from him. Perhaps he might turn his lips up. He's a very cheerful guy.
The longest wait she's probably ever had on the podium. Svetlana Boginskaya. Van Die has a 10, but can she equal it?
Alexandrov coming in on the Kachev. Narrowing the arms there. Toe on, toe off to handstand. Pull him back out, dismount well. Van Die keeps the goal so far. Boginskaya 2 hands down, at least 3/10 away. A little tear in Van Die's eyes, is that of happiness?
The all-round champion, not adding to her tally of medals in the first Apparatus final she's competed in. This the toe on, toe off, giant circle, and then the 2 twists, and she'd never got there, did she?
Well, she took the movement very steep, so she didn't have a lot of rotation. She put most of her energies into the twist, because to get a full twist in a double back is difficult, and it looked like she almost lost her left leg. She was trying to pull the knees into the chest to accelerate her rotation, and she'll be furious with herself.
Van Die would dearly love to win this title on her own, but that by no means certain still, even with Boginskaya out of the way. Daniela Silovash still to come. And whereas yesterday a bit of dejection about her, today she'll have put all that behind her. Jackie Fay punching the buttons, calling up one of the judges. They have their own telephone system. Just looking around the arena, trying to see who it is that she's questioning at the moment about her mark.
With her, the team coach and personal coach, Alexandra Alexandrov, he'll have tried to console her. Boginskaya won't be consoled if she doesn't want to be. Lydia Miramanova was her coach. She died suddenly in 1988, and it's been a big transition for Boginskaya to have another coach.
Just looking through the results on the uneven bars, there's the score for Boginskaya, 9.45. So well out of contention. Puts her right down in 7th place at the moment. I was going to say, looking on the Soviets haven't done too well in individual asymmetric bars gold medals in the recent championships.
Yuri Keki from Italy, only Western European qualifier in this final. Keki is a magnificent rings worker, and he stands a chance yet of getting the gold, the highest mark, only up in the 9/8. But when you know you've got a chance, then it's much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, the planche beautifully held. A lot of gymnasts cheat that position, but he didn't at all. That was a very honest crucifix position, the arms straight and horizontal.
Keki's very interesting routine. His shapes varied, and a lovely rhythm. He punctuates each shape so well. That was smashing. Could he do it? It would be wonderful to see a Western European. He's delighted.
If he was getting the score for determination, he'd certainly have done it. Now, for a Western European to take a medal on this piece of apparatus in the World Championships would be quite something.
He got into the finals in the European Championships in Stockholm. He came fourth there and very much improved since then. This is wonderful work. Look at the beautiful shapes he achieves in between. Nice high release of the rings. And it's difficult to nail a landing from the rings. They have to take up enough rotation from moving apparatus, not a stable piece of apparatus like a bar.
I'd love to see a shot of Wecker at the moment. He's looked pretty calm after all the people who've succeeded him until this exercise, but he can't be quite so confident about this one. There he is. And what does that look mean? I wonder.
Looks like Tippelton being consoled by Wecker.
A little word there with Marinic and McGillney, the two Russian boys.
And what do you think? Do you think Pecchi was better than me? I can just imagine that that's what they're saying. Well, I don't know, mate. You'll just have to wait and see. The judges are a bit funny today.
Expectation on the face of Yuri Kecki. And Kecki up to 9.812. That makes him equal second with Marinic. Joint silver at the moment. Wecker breathes again. Kecki now knows that he definitely has a medal, because there's only one more to go. Andreas Aguilar. But before him, of course, Daniela Silavash to the asymmetric bars. At the moment, Van D with a 10 guaranteed the gold, but could this girl possibly equal her?
Silavash last up, and that little squeaky voice in the background is Aurelia Dobre, willing Silavash through the routine. Always there as great supporter. Silavash capable of matching D. Yes, it was good. It was excellent.
Well, Monica, we thought she should have had a 10 yesterday. Was that as good in your eyes?
It certainly was. It was better than the routine that she got us 10 for 2 days ago. But I'm not going to hang myself. I'll just wait and see.
A kiss from Gabriela Potorak and hope in the Romanian camp.
Nedelchev there, Adrian Goriak walking away when he knows that she's safe to continue. Silavash is so popular throughout the world. Everybody has wanted Silavash to win. I think the Russians have never forgiven her for going to Moscow in 1987 and taking the European Championship away from the Soviets in front of a home crowd.
She won this title in the Olympic Games in 1988 as well.
And in Rotterdam in 87, she shared the gold with East Germany's Dorte Tumler. Oh, great start. She's got a gold. I'm sorry that she has to share it with Fandi, but a round of 10s. At last, Daniela Silavash has got the gold. I don't think Fandi minds at all.
Some consolation. Missed out on the title that she really wanted, but a gold medal for Daniela Silavash. And if this is her last World Championships, that will bring much sweeter memories than she thought she might have had.
And that was so nice of Fandi to be the first one to go and congratulate her. Now the West German crowd rises for Andreas Aguilar on the rings.
.862. Andreas Wecker from East Germany in the lead. Second Marinic and Keki with 9.812. So he must feel he's got a chance.
Yes, Wecker was 8th in the European Championships on rings this year, so he was amongst the best in Europe then. 27 years old, John, and he's probably more of a specialist on one piece than an all-rounder.
Yes, and what's amazing is he's come back from a bad injury, hasn't he?
He has had a terrible shoulder operation. We may be able to see the scar on his arm. Ooh.
Well, I'm afraid, whatever the cheers from the crowd, I don't think he can make the medals. He didn't really get that press up the handstand at all, didn't complete the move, and that considered a very heavy fault. The East Germans quite happy to congratulate Andreas Wecker even before his mark comes up. If you think that Aguilar is not actually a very German name, you'd be right. He was born in Barcelona. Still a student, although he's married.
Premature congratulations to Andreas Wecker. And from one Andreas to another. Aguilar demonstrating supreme strength. Only one error in the routine. The rest was very good. The scar very apparent from his recent operation on the right shoulder. Oh, that's the big crisis. And pushing backwards rather than vertically into the handstand. But he made a magnificent recovery.
Andreas Wecker, I think, very confident indeed. I think Andreas Aguilar, not quite so sure.
Well, it was a wonderful routine, and even if they took away .15.
Well, he's got 9.875. Aguilar has actually taken the gold medal away from Andreas Wecker. 9.875. I must confess, I didn't think he'd done it, but great to see the West Germans taking the medal. The East Germans certainly didn't believe that Wecker had been overtaken. And what a way to finish his career. Races over to his coach.
Well, I must disagree with you, John. I thought he stood a chance, because even if they were going to take away .15, which is a heavy deduction for that armband, oh, this really almost brings tears to your eyes. Brilliant moments, and that'll teach Andreas Wecker not to celebrate prematurely.
And the whole now of the West German team on the floor congratulating Wecker. I think he's going to go around and shake hands and kiss every single person in the arena. Tears on half the West German organisers' faces around, just looking around the arena. Emotion everywhere.
Wonderful moments for Aguilar. The Soviet Germans not looking too delighted. And there's Eberhard Dinger.
I think Ginger was probably the last gold medalist of any sort that the West Germans had in a major championship.
Yes, and sharing Aguilar's delight. And it really is a wonderful feeling for him to win gold in his hometown. There's confirmation. Andreas Aguilar from West Germany, gold medal, 9.875. Andreas Becker had to be satisfied with silver with 9.862. And Valentin Marinic and Yuri Cecchi tying with the bronze medal position.
Meine Damen und Herren, nach diesem positiven Erlebnis, das wir gerade eben in der Hans-Martin-Schleyer-Halle in Stuttgart gehabt haben, hier noch eine positive Korrektur für eine Turnerin aus den Vereinigten Staaten. Aufgrund einer fehlerhaften Eingabe beim Pferdsprung der Frauen, die nachträglich korrigiert wurde, ergibt sich eine Resultatsveränderung für Brandy Johnson. Brandy Johnson wurde mit 9,95 Punkten.
Well, what we're about to see now is the medal ceremony repeated for the women's vault, because Brandy Johnson, having been given a bronze medal and having protested the mark, is in fact entitled to a silver medal. And that has to be done in public, in the podium. They won't accept it out the back in the training area. So it was Ellen Berger, the head of the FIG technical committee, who came forward to give Brandy Johnson a silver medal. There's the vault that completed it for her.
Brandy Johnson, États-Unis, avec 9,95. Elle est à égalité avec Christina Bontas, Roumanie, et elle aura elle aussi la médaille d'argent pour Brandy Johnson.
So Brandy Johnson, upper place, silver, much nicer than gold, much nicer than bronze. What am I saying?
Siegerehrung der 25. Weltmeisterschaft für den Kunstturnen Stuttgart 1989.
Victory ceremony of the 25th World Gymnastics Championship.
Zeremonie protokollaire.
Just a reminder of the A-bars result as well. Fandi and Sullivan share the gold, both with wonderful tens. Strajeva 9.975 taking bronze. You can see the highlights of today's program later tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with another 5 finals, 3 men's and 2 women's. That's at 8 o'clock tonight, and we leave you with a fabulous display by Andreas Aguilar from West Germany, the host nation, taking the gold medal on rings. Goodbye for now from Stuttgart.
First